West Ham 3, Arsenal 1. Arsenal were outclassed and absolutely outplayed by David Moyes and West Ham today in the Carabao Cup. Arsenal deserved losers. West Ham deserved winners. Well done to West Ham for getting to the next round of the Carabao Cup. And I hate to say I told you so, but I am going to say I told you so because going out of domestic cups early every single season is not a badge of honor. It's not anything that Arsenal fans should be, pretending or painting as something that the big clubs do. I get that Liverpool threw the smaller domestic cups away early on in Klopp's tenure, but newsflash, Klopp is a world-class manager and won them the league and, oh, by the way, the Champions League. Pep would always take the Carabao Cup a little bit more seriously and win that before he won the Premier League. So where do Arsenal get off by thinking that they're too good for the Carabao Cup, or that it's not an important competition for a young team that's never won any silverware at all at this club? By this time, nobody in the current team had won that FA Cup. So this team needs silverware, and this was a really good opportunity to do so, and we absolutely shot the bed. We deserved nothing out of that game. We were atrocious from minute one to the very end. And Odegaard scored in like the very last minute of the game. There's nothing to take from it from a positive unless we didn't get any injuries. The way that we set up was the way that we always set up in domestic cups. And I don't know if the manager's just not, the light bulb is not going off, but Arsenal are just not the type of team that can start off with a heavily rotated side and not have to have their big players come off the bench and try to save them. And usually once the tide is going in one direction, it continuously goes in that direction in these circumstances. I remember Mikel Arteta starting Charlie Patino and Sambi in midfield. Guess what? We went out of that competition. I remember Mikel Arteta against Sporting at home starting Jorginho, Zinchenko was at left back, and Vieira and Xhaka. Newsflash, we went out of that competition. And so continuously setting ourselves up in ways that don't suit us and heavily rotating in competitions, I think just gives off the stench of unseriousness and makes the players feel like this is not an important competition. Like if you look at the lineup, when as soon as we saw it, what did I say? We don't care about this cup, clearly. And the players played like it. And so everybody is at fault. Starts from the manager, comes down to the players. And I feel sorry for any Arsenal fan that went to that game because it's not even like, we even tried. Like it was just it was giving, we don't give a shit. And like, it's one thing to lose, but the way that you lose is important. If you go down swinging, what can you say? And I think if we had cared at all, if we had even tried at all, we would have gotten something or at least gotten to penalties, even if we weren't playing our best. But I am so sorry. Arsenal played that game like they could have been anywhere else, like they wanted to be anywhere else. And this team is not good enough and has not won enough to be turning their nose up at a Carabao Cup. I hate when the fans do it. I hate when the players look like they're doing it. And I hate when the manager does it. And so well done to West Ham. They totally deserve it. Yeah, like we had the own goal. But in the second half, they came out like they knew that we were there to be taken. And we were. We came out worse in the second half than we did in the first half. How is that possible? We were horrendous in the first half. We came out there like we could not be asked, and it was embarrassing, and we got absolutely slapped, and we deserved to be slapped. So I'm tired of hearing bigger fish to fry and this competition doesn't matter because you don't know what's going to happen in the next competition. What if we get Manchester City in an early round in the FA Cup again? What if we get, to the next round of the Champions League and we get Real Madrid? Then we're going to be looking back at this Carabao Cup like, damn, should we have not tried a little bit harder against West Ham? I'm not saying that we can't rotate. And I feel like people go too far every single time. It's, oh, well, we should still rotate because we have bigger fish to fry. I didn't say don't rotate, but the way that we rotated against Sheffield is the same way that we should have rotated today. Was a couple of players out to take a rest, whether if that was one of Saka or Martinelli, one player out of the midfield change, one defensive change, one on each line. But when you have Vieira and Havertz and Jorginho and Trossard and Vieira, like when you have everybody that's different and then you stick Zinchenko and Jorginho together against a physical West Ham side, you're asking to go out. You're asking to go out. And so many questions on the manager. They better not turn around and lose to Newcastle at the weekend either. Because, oh, by the way, Newcastle were able to rotate their team and still get past into the next round. So it's more than just the way that the manager set them up. It's more than just rotation. I think those things are important, but the team just didn't care. And maybe if the manager showed that he cared about the competition by putting a Rice out there, by putting a Saka out there, by showing the team that he cares about it, maybe they go out there and actually try. Like that was a very stinky performance, and it's not the first time that I've seen it. It's just the biggest slapping that we've gotten. So yeah, I just what else? Like, what else do you guys want me to say? I mean, everybody's getting a 0, that started the game because nobody played well. I thought Reece Nelson was the most busy, but for the most part, nobody deserves anything because they basically went out there and walked around, half tried to pass the ball. Zinchenko and Jorginho very slow and ponderous on the ball the entire time. The first goal was a calamity. The own goal, I mean, I love Ben White, but he has to take the majority of the blame. I know Ramsdale was being pulled. He couldn't get to it. The second goal is just so simple. It's just a crossfield ball. They're number one for crossfield passes, by the way. It's something that they always try to do. Crossfield pass into Kudus. He takes it down beautifully. Zinchenko is a no man's land through Gabriel's legs and into the back of the net. And the third one is just a second ball off of Ben White's, header. Nobody gets out to it. Bowen hits it. It hits off of Kivior and goes in the back of the net. I mean, it couldn't have gotten any easier. We might as well have been a relegation side, or we might as well have been a team that just didn't show up and just said, you know what, we'll take the forfeit 3-0. Because all we did was put minutes on our legs. We didn't do anything. And I know it was 3-1, but that was 3-0. Like, I don't care what anybody says, it's 3-0. We scored a consolation goal, but it really doesn't matter in the end. At the end of the day, we went out of this competition because we were pathetic. And I get that it's only the second loss of the season, so it's like, why are you raging? But it's different. It's about how we went out, and it's the fact that it was the Carabao Cup, and that was a really good opportunity at silverware that we just threw away in the trash, thinking that it's going to be so much better in the FA Cup and the Champions League. Mark my words, we're going to get very hard draws in those competitions, and people are going to be wishing that we did much better against West Ham because this is a very winnable cup, and this team has no business thinking that they're too good to play in the Carabao Cup and win it. We don't have any silverware. The Community Shield is not real. We need real silverware, and we haven't gotten it. It's like it's just so frustrating. We do it all the time, and I get tired of hearing the same shit. I know that there is somebody out there on the internet right now, an Arsenal fan, saying, well, we we need to be focusing on the Premier League. We need to be focusing on the Premier League. Bigger fish to fry. It's just a distraction. Okay. Okay.